Hello and welcome to Caching Waves. Wanted to give a quick update on HBAR, just going over today's action. If you haven't watched my previous video, I would suggest giving it a watch. I'll leave a link in the description below. But as of right now, my primary is that we're looking for a C wave to the upside, up to around 16 cents. Right between the 50 and the 618 of this down move from the original bear market top at the one-to-one extension of this A off this potential triangle E low up to around 16 cents. Now I do have some alternatives in play, which would basically mean we have to drop from here. Just going over these quickly, I would suggest watching last video. Like I said, link in the description if you want to see all those in depth. But basically, we hit the 618 retracement of this first move to the downside in a three-wave pattern. If we do stop here and reject, expecting either a diagonal to the downside or a triangle, then downside, like so. So those are my bearish moves I would be expecting here. You can see that in gray. But looking at today's action, as of yesterday, I was looking for off this low here you see in red, which I have a alarm set. That's the low I want to protect to protect the move to the upside. I had this potentially as a 5-wave move complete, but there is a possibility that this wave isn't done yet and we get a move to the upside. A couple things on that is we don't have divergence yet, which we would usually get between a wave 3 and 5. We get a lower low on the divergence, higher high, then we come down. So there is the possibility that is not complete yet. But there is a couple things I'd want to see before I took a entry here. As you can see, we haven't even hit the 382 of this move to the upside yet. But if we are very bullish, again, I don't want to miss any moves, so I'm taking a little more earlier entries than I normally would. But we have hit between the 236 and the 382. And in very bullish markets, we tend to get very light retracements, so I'm keeping that in mind. If you watch my yesterday's video, I was expecting a move to down in this area, and I was going to buy a third, and stop was at, let me get rid of this. Stop was at this low here at around 5.79 cents. So as of today, our top was here. We had our flat pattern, like so. And then we got our 5th wave up. But this can just be the 5th of the 3rd of this move up, and we get an extension to the upside. So what I would look for in that scenario to get into this market, these are clearly 3-wave patterns to the upside. These were 3-wave patterns to the downside. So when I see patterns like this fill out, I ask myself, in Elliott Wave, what patterns start with 3-wave patterns, right? First of all, WXYs, double zigzags. What can a double zigzag be the start of? It can be the start of a flat pattern. We get a 3-3, 5 waves down, right? It can also be complete in this area. If it's complete, we would expect 5 waves up to the upside, right? But we're getting a series of 3 waves. And I ask myself, okay, what starts with 3 waves? Well, complex corrections, so most likely B waves. We can make new highs on this. We get another 3-3-3 up, and then we make a running flat where a higher high, lower low, and we protect. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Alternatively, if this wave isn't done yet, we're not getting the larger correction, then the only alternative, if we're getting 5 waves up from here in my view, is this would be an ending diagonal 333, make just a higher high, and then we start our correction down to this area. Or if we're very bullish, we would expect this to make a leading diagonal, come back down, protect this low, and take off for our wave 3 of our 5th. So those are everything I'm taking into account. Now when you're trading with Elliott Wave and watching in real time, down at the 15-minute level is usually where I like to get my entries on bigger trade setups for higher targets when I'm not scalping. But this is the zone time frame I like to get into those entries, the 15-minute. Excuse me. And one of the most important things I've learned is not to get married to any count in trading. You must see what you got, and your ability to how successful you're going to be is how quickly you can adjust to what you're being given in the waves. So my assumption right now, not assumption, but I'm looking for a 1-2-1-2, and we break to the downside, get our C wave, and this ends up being a flat, or we get our 333 up and we make our running flat or expanded flat. So out of those scenarios, this is how we can get probabilities to our side. If we get one more move up, like so, I would assume we're either getting the running flat, which means a higher high, lower low, but we protect this low, or we're getting a 1-2, in which case we protect this low. Right? So once we get one more wave, I'd be interested in taking the long with my stop at this low. The only way I'd potentially be wrong is if this is the 5th of the 5th, and we didn't top here, we top here, and we make lower lows down to between the 382 and the 618. And we'd come down in an ABC here. That's where I'm wrong. And it's easily adjustable. I'd say, okay, then our correction is actually over here and not here. No big deal. Look for re-entry here. Our long with the low at that lower low area. I hope I'm explaining this as simply as possible. Elliott Wave, again, you have to really analyze in real time to maximize your profits in your trade setups, because the worst thing is if we just take off from here and we don't get our entry at all and we go up to our 16 cents, right? Don't want to miss that move. And I'm okay if it comes up here and we top. I get my entry between the 50 and the 618 of this move, stop at this low. I get stopped out, no big deal. I know what to do next, and I know I'm looking for that upside. And that is my bias still, that we're getting to the upside. This is actually adding to it because we're not rejecting at the 618 level, as you can see, as hard as I would have expected. We've already passed it on log scale, but on linear, we're just hovering around here. Doesn't mean we can't get it. We can get that double top and then reject really hard. But again, I'd reanalyze based on how hard we rejected, what the likelihood of that is. So personally right now, waiting for this move to the upside. If we get it, and then I'd be interested in a long on the retrace, which would look like this. Wherever that top is, I'd be looking to buy on this area. Long right here. I actually hope that happens because we get a much bigger position size than the entry down in this area, because you'd have a much tighter stop. Again, same scenario as we talked about in the last video. Once I got that and my stop was in and it looks like we're taking off, say we get a nice little 5 wave, even down at the 5 minute, a 1-2-1-2. If we get a setup like this, and we get a retrace back here, this is the dream scenario if you can get it. Then I'd take another entry there, stop at this low, be able to leverage up my position size, and this stop would get raised. So I can double my position size pretty quickly and take off from there. So that is the hope. Nothing says we have to get it. We'll see what setups we get. but just to restate very quickly what I'm looking for, we have 3 waves here, 3 waves currently. So we can get either 3 here down to this area, looking for our long, in which case I would buy at the 382, the 50, and the 618 of this move here, which you can see is at 7 cents, 6.77, 6.54. That's where I'd be looking to buy with my stop at 5.79. That's the larger trend if we get that move to the downside. Alternatively, if we get another 3 up, I would expect a running flat. I would look to buy as close to this level as possible. And my stop would be at this low. I'd be looking to get as low as I can to this area, probably between the 50 and the 618, and looking for higher highs. And this would be a running flat complete. That would be very, very bullish. And finally, if this is the leading diagonal, or we get another 333 up, look for the entry in this area and get that second one too. All right, guys, so that's it for HBAR. If something significantly happens, I will do another update later tonight if something changes. But at the moment, those are the setups I'm looking for. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see my last video, I went a little more in depth, I'll leave the link in the description below. All right, guys, thanks for watching.